Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and I want to talk about a really simple thing to observe during the framing structure of your home, especially the roof. One of the number one places for leakage on a roof, apart from a dead valley or a cricket, which I've explained in some previous videos. I've got a cricket down here, and it's a shallow part of the roof. But one of the number one places for leakage is right here at the drip edge. And a lot of it has to do with how the home is framed. Because if it's framed right, then you shouldn't have a problem. If it's framed wrong, you're going to probably have a problem, especially if it's going to be asphalt shingle roofs. Now, this is aluminum shingle roof, but if this was asphalt, then I'd have a problem if it was framed wrong. So what I want to do is I want to show you what happens with framers sometimes, is that they typically, you got a roof truss coming down like this, and this is your fascia board. This here is my fascia board, which is typically a 2x6 lumber, but oftentimes trusses will come from the truss plant, and the truss will be a 2x4, or it could be a 2x6, but a lot of times it could be a 2x4. Well, framers will frame it like this, and then they'll put their sheeting on top like that, okay? And they think they're doing a favor because they're giving you, some sort of a lip, or giving you more fascia to nail into on this side. But see that gap right there? What happens is if this is actually thicker OSB, but if it's thinner OSB, they're going to put a nail in there, and it's going to create a little indentation all the way across the roof this way. And when that happens, especially if this was an asphalt shingle roof, if there's an indentation all the way across there, water's going to puddle. And if you've got asphalt shingles, you're going to have a weak spot right here where the keyway is, and water's going to work its way in there. And then imagine this is my drip edge, and if water works in there, it can get up past the top of the drip edge, and it's going to work its way around, and then it's going to work behind all the flashing, behind all the roofing material, and then it's going to do a number on your fascia board. It's going to work into the home and start to do some damage inside the substrate. So what I like to do is when they talk with my framers, I want to make sure that that's nice and level right there, so that when the wood comes over, I'm not going to create a pocket there. I'm not going to create an indentation there. Now, a couple of other things when it comes to the drip edge, all right? Water can sheet off this, and if you're going to have a rain gutter in here, and we'll show you a rain gutter behind there, so right behind my cameraman, which is my son, the rain gutter is underneath the drip edge. Now, a lot of times they'll put some 1x material on top of this, right along the fascia board. They'll put some 1x material. I don't like to do that because the rain gutter can't fit up. It kind of blocks it. So what I typically do is put the drip edge. See how there's a gap right there? That's the gap you really want, so that the rain gutter can fit up behind there. Now, if you don't have a drip edge that has that natural gap separator, and you put it up like that, then the rain gutter is not going to get up behind there, and it's going to have a real hard time. Now, here's the real problem. If that rain gutter just comes up to about that high, not even that high enough, water can come down here, and it can wick back behind and up and over the rain gutter. And that's when you start to do some serious damage to your home. There are a lot of videos out there. Just type in videos. Why is water getting behind my rain gutter? Well, it's getting behind your rain gutter because it's wicking underneath the drip edge, and it's going over the top of the rain gutter and getting back into this substrate. This is why I like to have aluminum soffit and fascia on my roofs, especially on this is the fascia part, and this here's the soffit. Just think of the soffit as the soft part of the belly. That's your soffit. And this here's your fascia here board. Well, if this aluminum fascia is going all the way up pretty high, then that helps as a kind of stopgap for it. But a lot of people stucco this and whatnot. So I just wanted to give you some feedback. Now, the real thing I wanted to communicate to you is what's the best pitch for a roof. I don't like to do a roof like this or even asphalt on anything less than 6 or 7/12 pitch. This here is a 7/12 pitch. Once you get over 8 and 9 and 10/12 pitch, etc., it gets to be more costly to install. So I'm very aware of the cost in labor to install. But once you get into a shallower pitch, like a 3 or 212, you are running into some serious problems. And I've seen a lot of people do really shallow pitches, especially in very inclement weather, where they're like a 312 pitch or even a 212 pitch, and they're trying to put asphalt shingles on there, or they're trying to put something that's a little bit porous, and that's not going to take. You have to look at the manufacturer and say, what level pitch can you put the shingle or asphalt or tile or whatever roof you're going to put on there? I'm not a fan of flat roofs. They just have problems. It's not about a matter of if, though when, and they're going to have problems sooner than you'll have a problem with a roof like this. So I'm not a fan of flat roofs. There's some good product out there to help with flat roofs, but I'm just not. So again, my best favorite pitch is a 712 pitch. And I've seen a lot of owner builders design homes, and they're 10, 11, 12 pitch, even 12, 12 pitches, and it's really insane. It's so steep, it adds to the cost of the home. And so if you're going to be doing it yourself, you're going to put on your shingles yourself, 712 is the best. You can walk on it. It's a lot safer. You don't feel like you're going to fall off the roof. But once you get to be 8 and 10, 12, it's really uncomfortable. You got to tie yourself off. You got to put some roof jacks on there to support yourself and whatnot. Really, this here is the secret, is to make sure that this is coming off and there's no indentation here at the close to the drip edge. If you do have an indentation and they frame it wrong, you're going to have some problems down the road. So talk to your framers, make sure it's flush all against the wood, all the way up here, so that you're not going to have that indentation. Again, like I was talking to you about, once they put that sheeting up there, this here wood needs to come all the way to the top. Now, a lot of framers are going to do that, and that's what causes the problem. So as soon as they nail that down, it's going to suck it down, and you're going to have an indentation. Make sure that sucker's flush, and you're not going to have that. If you're going to have asphalt shingles, especially make this the case, because you're going to have a little concave in your roof, and that's going to be puddling. Anytime you have puddling on the roof, you've got a problem. I just wanted to showcase this to you. Make sure you watch out for that. Avoid dead valleys, avoid crickets on your home if you can. I always tell owner builders, stop designing a complex roof. Stop creating crickets and dead valleys, because you're going to run into problems. Crickets and dead valleys are typically shallow roofs, very shallow, or like a 212, and it's a different roof product. It's a TPO product, and you're running into some problems. I'll do some more videos on those in the future. I just want to give you a little heads up on the framing of your home. Watch over the area right here, and be cautious on the pitch of your roof. It makes all the difference. This is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home.